another not so exciting episode of This Is Our Life. So, yesterday, shot off 40 rounds from the AR, and 40 rounds goes pretty fast on a semi-auto. One thing I was able to notice was, as these are aluminum magazines, as the magazines emptied, I could feel the weight, the change in the weight. Another thing I noticed was, if I can get this without unplugging everything, was that on the trigger, I put the safety on, so on the trigger, when I would pull it, you know, the trigger goes back. There is a kick, but it's very minimal, and it felt like my finger was way out here instead of on the trigger, and so I'm going to have to work on that. But one thing, I watched Magpul, Art of the Dynamic Carbine, and you know, so I wish I could take that out to the firing range, and if you want to call where we go a firing range, it's just a dirt road. Not a dirt road, but an abandoned road. But one thing I did was, instead of leaning this shoulder so far out that way, is I got more like that. But I was still shooting. The bullet was going like up here rather than right on top of that. So, you know, I wish we could find some land cheap. I'll pay $100 or $200 a month. That would be nice. Maybe in the middle of nowhere, Maine. Not that we could ever get out to that. That's the only kind of place I could think of. You know, or West Texas, where it's just dirt, it's just dry. And I guarantee you, we don't want to live in West Texas. We don't want to live in Texas. Anywhere in Texas. We did the budget, and one of our bills is way lower than we were expecting. And we're going to be okay next month. We're going to be better off next month than we were this month, than we were the last 2 or 3 or 4 months. So that's good. Also, I looked at the how much money Goldman Sachs is paying Romney and Obama. They're paying Obama more money than they're paying Romney, and it's still a lot of money. But you know, and the difference once you get into the money like that isn't that big of a difference. But it's still a little more to Obama. Not donating. They pay these guys because these guys are their mouthpiece, their puppets. But you know, for those of you who still think there's a difference between the two parties,
no, there isn't.
There isn't. They say the same things, but they say them in a different way. Okay. You know, the Republicans were in a position to outlaw abortion, and they didn't do it. Now, a true conservative would do that, but most Republicans are neocons, Trotskyites, and i.e. they're socialists. They're not conservatives. But I'm an anarchist, so you know. And I found out also more people wrote in no one than actually voted for anyone in the last presidential election. We see how well that worked out. Anyway, so want to get more ammo for this, and you know, there are going to be times I'm going to want to go out and just shoot, but because I need to get used to it for one thing, but then there are going to be times just shooting for fun. But I also need to need to sight it in. You know, the way I was doing it, yeah, if I was actually aiming at a target, as long as it wasn't a chipmunk or a squirrel, I'd hit it. But anyway, I'm going to put it down, hopefully without knocking anything. And so I was on Amazon, because I have a list for Carolyn's Christmas. And I have to go back and look, but I think I added something, but I don't remember. I may have put something back on it that I had taken off because we already have it, but it's a difficult issue because if we already have it, why have a second one? But then if I get it for her as a gift, then it's hers. So that's a plus. You know, I mean, if she puts notes or whatever, I mean, you know, tears it up, I don't care. I mean, it's hers. But I don't know, because I have like a list for myself too, and the thing is, they're going to cost about the same. So I don't know. I mean, you know, what's on her list is what's on her list. Is what she's going to get. Doesn't mean she's not going to get more, but I've been getting a lot of stuff for myself. It's time for her. And, you know, December is just around the corner. Another thing I wanted to talk about was if Obama loses, I have two scenarios that I've come up with, and I'm sure there are lots of others. One, there are probably going to be riots, at least in the cities. Thankfully, we live far enough out that those riots aren't going to affect us, and considering where we live, unless we lived on the seacoast, I don't think they would affect us much anyway. Another thing is if Romney wins, you know, the economy keeps going down, 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 down. You know, one reason that the employment looks better than it really is because
many people quit looking for work.
Yeah, they don't register at the unemployment office and stuff like that, so the numbers are actually far greater. But Romney wins, things go downhill, then you have the Democrats that can come in and blame it all on the right wing, even though the Republican Party is neoconservative, not conservative. They're Trotskyites, they're socialists. They're not conservatives, so they're not right-wing.
Well, remember to tell them that I am one of those uncounted.
Oh yeah, and my wife is one of those people that's not being counted anymore.
Because I have been unable to work for a year, being here more than a year, and no work in New Hampshire, and can't
this whole area.
Employment, so.
Yeah. So anyway, so what my scenario is that Democrats will come in, or the left wing will come in as the savior, the rescuer, and everything will be blamed on the right wing, and then they'll be all held to pay. I don't know if there really will be UN elections, people coming in or not, but I've seen on a number of websites, I've seen that, both legitimate websites and non-legitimate websites. And I want to say something about this guy. Just because something is on Fox News doesn't mean it's true or false any more than it's on MSNBC, CBS, ABC, PBS, NPR. All of these are in the end one and the same. Just like Obama and Romney are one and the same. But sadly, not enough people realize it yet. And I'm afraid there are going to be a lot of people who don't realize it, and it's going to be too late. And hopefully we're going to be in a position to survive, and maybe do a little more than survive, when it all falls apart. Now, some people have told me they don't believe it's going to just crash. They think it's going to keep going slowly getting worse. That could be. Could be.
They haven't really looked at the full picture.
Yeah. But, anyway, so I guess that's about all I want to say. I want some spicy food. I want some. I want some Kung Pao shrimp. What I really like is the Krau pie. I think it's like the Thai version of Kung Pao. I think it tastes a little better. They put like basil.
Thai food tends to be spicier than Japanese or Chinese, I think.
And, but the Thai version, Krau Pao or something like that. Anyway, it's really good. I think they put basil in it, but I'm not 100% certain about that. But
probably Thai basil.
And anyway, there's a Thai restaurant in Keene, but I don't think we can afford to go eat there. It would be nice.
Not right now.
Yeah, if we could get that money from Texas, we could go out and have a nice meal. Anywhere, almost anywhere. But we wouldn't spend it all on one meal.
That'd be an awfully expensive meal.
Yeah. But hopefully we will get that money from Texas sooner or later, and I need to send this copy of this thing off to the nursing home in Texas, so when she dies they'll know who to contact or whatever. Don't really look forward to that either. I'm going to send my sister a Christmas card, even though she refuses to have anything to do with anybody on either side of the family. That's up to her. I love my sister, but I'm not going to abandon her. I'm still going to be here for her as best I can. She's acting like her mother. It's pretty sad. But we took a hike yesterday, and we both definitely need to exercise. Goodbye.